So we are at the international organization. We are at the international organization, and I was telling you that some of the very important part there were that there was a lot of changes, and in the organization was in the organization after the Cold War, and after the Cold War, those realities are different. Where those realities are different? Where in the United Nations. So after the Cold War, those realities are different. Here are some of the changes that have occurred. First of all, कौन कौन से changes occur हुए, कौन-कौन से changes हुए वहाँ पे. First, the Soviet Union has collapsed. You know that Soviet Union was there. Soviet Union was there, and that was collapsed. इसके 15 new republics बन चुकी थी. Then US is the strongest power now. After that, balance of power was there. Balance of power was in that international relations, international market, international arena, and balance of between two superpowers. One was America, and one was USSR. And USSR was gone. So after USSR was gone, then now there is a vacuum. Now there is a vacuum inside it. So the US is the strongest power now. The relationship between Russia, the successor to the Soviet Union, and the US is much more cooperative. Earlier, before the Cold War, there was a tension between two superpowers. Two superpowers of what? America and USSR. USSR was gone, and Russia is there now. Russia as a country is now coming up. So the relation between these two powers are very cordial. It was not early. It was not early. Earlier, the relation was not cordial between two superpowers. But now, when the US is there, a superpower is the relation between these superpowers are cordial now. China is fast emerging. It could be a question for your final examination. And let me tell you one thing: these are all a proposed question for your final examination, right? So China is fast emerging as a great power, and India is also growing rapidly. China is there, and economically, it's near to the superpower. You see that in every market of the world, even in India itself, everything from pin to your airplanes or computers or supercomputers, whatever it is, the parts are being made by the China, made in China, right? So even your crackers in Deepavali, sometimes they are coming from China. Your candles are coming from China. Your lightning systems are coming from China. Right, your vehicles are computers and other things are from China. So that is the economy of the China is just like a mammoth, and China is fast emerging as a great power, and India is also growing rapidly. And let me tell you, Indian market, it's one of the best market in the world. Right, it is said that if you are flop in the Indian market, you are being flop in every market, and if you are superb in the Indian market, you are hit in the Indian market, then it means you nobody can dislodge you. So the economies of Asia are growing at an unprecedented rate. Right. So many new countries have joined the UN as a becoming independent from Soviet Union. UN को बहुत सारे countries ने join किया. Right. Many new countries. They joined UNO, United Nations Organization. Many new countries have joined the UN as they become the independent from the Soviet Union or the former communist state in the Eastern Europe. Right. Eastern Europe, many new countries they came up and they joined United Nation Organization. So it is and it could be asked for your final examination also. So they became the independent from the Soviet Union. जब वो टूट गए थे सोवियत यूनियन से 15 न्यू रिपब्लिक्स बनी, and 15 new republics mean 15 new countries. So, independent from the Soviet Union and former communist states in Eastern Europe. A whole new setup of changes or challenges confronts the word genocide, civil war, ethnic conflict, terrorism, nuclear proliferation, climate change, environmental degradation, and epidemics. Right. So challenges are there. Lot of challenges are there. In every sphere, new countries, world countries, established countries, developing countries, even rather I said developed countries. They are facing new epidemics also and pandemic even. See the corona. Somebody says that some many countries said it's a biological warfare. Somebody says it's like a biological warfare. They will not kill you instantly. They will kill you slowly. Look, in India, more than 1,30,000 people are killed, already killed from the corona. 1,30,000 people are killed. In America, one of the best, medical health facilities are there. More than more than 2.5 lakh are already killed. Other European countries. So these are pandemic. And new challenges came to us. Civil war is there. Many countries they are facing civil war. Armenia, Azerbaijan, Armenia and Azerbaijan. They are facing war. Armenia and Azerbaijan, they were the part of a United USSR. Now Azerbaijan and Armenia, both are separate countries. One is dominated by the Christian part, another one is dominated by the Muslim people. Right? So ethnic conflicts are there. Ethnic conflicts are there. Terrorism, you know better how the terrorism is there in every country. Terrorism. Then nuclear proliferation, climatic change, right? And environmental degradation. See the condition of fog in India, right? And see the climatic condition, degradation. Many new germs are born, and see the health part of you. Many people are suffering with many type of diseases. These are all due to the environmental degradation. In this situation, right? In this situation of 1980, as the Cold War was ending, the question facing the world was: Is the UN doing enough? Now, this is one of the important question: Is UN, United Nations, is doing good, or it can do much better, or it is just you know doing whatever it is able to do? Right. So can this Cold War when ended, the question facing the world was: Is the UN doing enough? Is it equipped with what is required? Are the developed countries and developing countries, are they interested to help UN economically? What should it be doing? What should it be doing? And how? What reforms are necessary to make it work better? 1945. This is 2020. There are no reforms in United Nations. There should be some type of reform. What type of reform we should have, and how? For the past decade and a half, member states have been trying to find satisfactory and practical answers to these questions. So questions are lot of questions are there. What type of reform should we have? Right. So this is the answer. Then reform of the structures and process. Reforms of the structures and process. While the case for reform has been widespread support, getting agreement on what to do is difficult. हमें क्या करना चाहिए? It's very difficult. There are many countries. Their priorities are different. Their priorities are separate, and they according to their priority they will see something else. So what to do? What should we do? Let us examine this debate over reform of the UN Security Council. What type of reform we want? Let's debate. In 1992, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution, and the resolution reflected three main complaints. There was a resolution, and that particular resolution, the direction, according to this, they have three main. A lot of countries basically their complaints. There were a lot of complaints, but the three main complaints were: number one, the Security Council no longer represents contemporary political realities. What do you mean by contemporary political realities? Contemporary means what is happening now. अब हमारे देश में क्या हो रहा है उसी के संदर्भ में दूसरे देशों में क्या हो रहा है, that is called contemporary. Right, the Security Council no longer represents contemporary political realities. राइट. सो हम जो पॉलिटिकल रियलिटीज देख रहे हैं, सुन रहे हैं, सोच रहे हैं, वो असल में वो पॉलिटिकल रियलिटीज दूसरे कंट्रीज जो हैं उनमें वो पॉलिटिकल रियलिटीज नहीं है. फॉर एग्जांपल, what the difficulties is being faced by India in political or economical affair, it is not mandatory, it's not compulsory that other countries are also facing the same one. Number one. So it is the first difference. Their priorities are different, their thoughts are different, their economic liabilities are different, right? So there are a lot of differences. So contemporary political realities are not the same. Number two, is decision reflect only Western values. A decision reflect only for the Western values and interests and are dominated by few powers. A very, very correct answer. You know, UNO, United Nations Organization, and other organizations are basically they are dominated by superpowers. They are dominated by superpowers, right? So these domination, this decision reflect only Western values. ये Western value को reflect करती है and interest and are dominated by few powers. So these countries they are so basically are very powerful and they have their own say United Nations. So say just imagine Russia. It's now okay, it's not superpower, it's not less than superpower, let me tell you one thing. America, Canada, France, Britain, China, they have got their own priorities. And basically they want to dominate the United Nations organization and other organizations. And they don't want that any third world countries, that third world countries should dominate on its decision. Slow, slow. Its decisions reflect only Western value interest and are dominated by a few powers. It lacks equitable representation. It lacks equitable representation. What do you mean by this? इनका जो representation है ना equable नहीं है, सब बराबर नहीं है, right? Developing countries and developed countries, superpowers and non-superpowers, they are not equal. वो equal नहीं है और equitable representation भी नहीं है. कहाँ पर? यूएनओ के अंदर. In view of these growing demands for the restructuring of the UN, on January 1st, 1997, the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan initiated an inquiry to how the UN should be reformed. How the UN should be reformed. So basically, कोफी आनंद ने कहा कि बेसिकली सेक्रेटरी जनरल तो हम यूएनओ को कैसे रिफॉर्म कर सकते हैं, राइट? How, for the instance, should new Security Council member be chosen? और किस तरीके से नए मेंबर्स को चुना जा सकता है. How should we choose the new members? So is there some there should there be any criteria on this in the year since then? The following are just some of the criteria that have been proposed for new permanent and non-permanent members. कुछ ideas दिए गए, कुछ suggestions दिए गए. Some criterias were there for the permanent and non-permanent members. You know, permanent members are 5 permanent members of the Security Council. A new member, it has been suggested should be जो नया member है, right? They suggested that particular new member should be number one, a major economic power. एक major economic power होगा. Number one, economy उसकी best होगी. Number one. Number two, a major military power. Major military power. There should be that particular country. That country should be a military power, good military power. So if the challenges are there, it can face the challenge from inside as well as outside. You know, every time the new member should not ask the help from the UNO. It should be help. It should be self-help country. A substantial contributor to the UN budget. Yes. UN budget. UNO के अंदर जो बजट है वो उसके अंदर अच्छा कंट्रीब्यूट करे. The contributor should be the best one. You know, UNO or everyone, every countries, every member country, they contribute in the UN, and a major share is coming from US, United States of America. Major share is from the US. So, a substantial contributor to the UN. A big nation in terms of its population. You see this is whatever I'm saying you see, and compare with your India, an Indian subcontinent. India as a emerging power. India as a next superpower. So a major economic power. Yes, India is um, a good economy. Is having a good economy. A military power. Good military is in India, and it's ready to contribute in UN budget largely. Then a big nation in terms of its population. Population is अच्छी होनी चाहिए. A nation that respects democracy and human rights. Democracy or human rights, right? Democracy means where the country is a democratic country. From the people, it's a rule should be from the people, by the people, and for the people, right? A big nation in terms of its population, a nation that respects democracy and human rights. A country that would make the council more representative of the world's diversity in terms of geography, economy, economic and system and culture. Or that is a country that would make the council more representative. जिसके आने से काउंसिल के अंदर सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के अंदर यूएनओ के अंदर एक एक उसके कंट्रीब्यूशन के अंदर there should be advantage of the world's diversity in terms of geography, economic systems, and culture. So now that is major contributor to the UN regular budget for 2019. Just see USA 22.22%. वर्ल्ड का जितने भी मेंबर कंट्रीज हैं, right, and India is 0.8%. You see, India is 0.8% and USA is 22%. They contribute. China contribute 12%. Japan contribute 8.5%. Germany contribute 6%. UK 4.5%, France 4.4%, Russia 2.4, 2.2, 2.4%, and India 0.8%. So this is a contribution towards UNO. Then is we have got the World Bank. This is World Bank, right? And World Bank is a logo. Logo is there on the top. World Bank का logo है ये. The World Bank was created immediately after the Second World War. Could be a question for you in the final examination. Write a short note or write a paragraph, 3 marks question on World Bank. The World Bank was created immediately after Second World War. When? In 1945. 1945 में World Bank शुरू हुआ. Its activities are focused on the developing countries. वर्ल्ड बैंक का जो फोकस है कहाँ पे है कि इसके वहाँ पे कहाँ पे ये फोकस रखता है ये फोकस रखता है बेसिकली डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज के ऊपर नॉट फॉर द डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज it is basically because it's a word bank is basically helping the developing countries. Okay, its activities are focused on the developing countries. It works for human development. Human development के लिए काम करते हैं and the what are the criteria? Education is there, health is there. Human development के अंदर we have got two section. One is education, one is health. Then agriculture is there, and another one is rural development. Rural means gaon, rural development, in which we have got the irrigation because if you take the example of India, you will find that India is still an agrarian country. More than 90% people, they are busy with their agriculture. So irrigation is there. Then there should be rural service, and they have the rural services. Then we have got the environmental protection. Environmental problem is developing day by day, and due to the environmental degradation, lot of problems are there. So environmental protection should be there, in which pollution is there. So what to do? Pollution reduction. Pollution reduction. Pollution reduction. Establishing and enforcing regulation. To control the pollution, we should establish some type of enforced regulation. We have to enforce regulation. Infrastructure, right? In infrastructure, we have got the roads, urban regeneration, electricity, and governance, and that is anti-corruption. Somebody says, someone economist says, one of the world economists says, right? If India wants to grow further, it has to focus on 2 points: population control and corruption control. If we are able to control these two things, we are the superpowers. First, population control, then corruption control. Governance and development of legal institution. It provides loans and grants to the member countries. ये क्या करती है? जैसे from the bank we get the loan. Needy people, they used to go to the bank and they used to get the loans. So here also, these loans are given to the needy countries, member countries. In this way, it exercises enormous influence on the economic policies of developing countries. So World Bank has its own influence. World Bank has its own influence in in the developing countries through the developed countries. So it is often criticized for setting the economic agenda of the poorer nations, attaching stringent conditions to its loans and forcing free market reforms. So they are basically used to force free market reforms. market should be according to them. We should, globalization. Sometimes lot of critics, they used to criticize the UN suggestion that is free market. What is the meaning of free market over here? They want that world market, India or developing country, they should open their markets for the developed countries. But when there is a question for the market opening for the developed country, for the developing countries, then there are a lot of yes or no and buts, right? So conditions are very strong conditions are there for the developing countries to enter in the European markets or developed markets. वो चाहते हैं कि हम तो उनके लिए मार्केट्स खोल दें, पर जब हमारी बारी आती है उनके मार्केट्स को खोलने की, तो उनके लिए बहुत सारे कंडीशंस शुरू हो जाते हैं, right? So it should not be, it should not be. And the condition and terms and rule and regulation should be equal for everyone. Now, clearly, each of these criteria has some validity. Governments saw advantages in some criteria and disadvantage in others, depending on their interests and aspirations. Aspirations means your needs, आपकी इच्छाएं. ये डिपेंड करता है अलग अलग क्राइटेरियाज के ऊपर, राइट, आपके इंटरेस्ट के ऊपर एंड आपके एस्पिरेशंस के ऊपर. Even if they had no desire to be a member of themselves, countries could see that the criteria were problematic. So बहुत सारे क्राइटेरियाज हैं जो प्रॉब्लमेटिक है. How big an economic or military power did you have to be qualified for the Security Council membership? सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात क्या है कि यू नो कितना कितना एक पावरफुल कंट्री होगा, हाउ मच द पावरफुल कंट्री इट शुड बी इकोनॉमिकली एंड मिलिटरीली. किसके लिए? एक सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के मेंबर को, सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल मेंबर बनने के लिए. What level of budget contribution? उन्होंने कहा था ना कि there's some criteria to be a member of Security Council, and what level of budget contribution should be there? Level of budget contribution. How much we should spend for the UNO? How much we should spend? How much we should contribute? A developing country, how much it should contribute to be a member of a Security Council. What level of budget contribution would enable to state to buy its way into the council? Where Security Council was a big population, an asset or liability. So someone says that population should be big, but these days, when we India was independent, it was having just 30 crore. Its population was just 30 crore. Now it's 135 crore. Just imagine the population size. We are the second largest population of the world, China and India. So population, some for some countries, population is an asset, and for some country, it's a liability. For a country trying to play a bigger role in the world, if respect for democracy and human rights was the criteria, countries with excellent record would be in the line to be the members. But would they be effective as as a council members? Right. So, how much should we go for the human rights? This human rights criteria also differ from one country to another country. Right. So then, furthermore, Furthermore, how was the member of represent to be resolved? Did equatorial representation in geographical terms mean that it should be one seat each from Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean? Yes. Furthermore, how was the matter of representation to be resolved? Did equitable representation in geographical terms mean mean that there should be one seat each for Asia, Africa, and Latin America and Caribbean? क्या हर एक को एक एक सीट दी जाए? सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल में 5 permanent members है. Every country they want to be the member, basically all developing country. तो क्या किया जाए कि बेसिकली लैटिन अमेरिका से, कैरिबियन से, एशिया से, अफ्रीका से एक रिप्रेजेंटेशन लिया जाए किसके लिए, परमानेंट मेंबरशिप के लिए. Should, on the other hand, by the regions or sub-regions, why should be the issue of equitable representation be decided by geography? Why not be labels of economic development? Right. So we will discuss it later on. Till then, take care and have a nice time. Thank you.